Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Weekly Comic Roundup. We've covered this week's X-Men books as well as a couple others. Now let's move on to this week's Avengers books. Kicking things off, we've got Avengers Beyond, number 2. Where we left off, the Beyonder told the Avengers what was going on, why he had been putting them through various tasks and whatnot. They weren't entirely happy with this because, it's kind of shitty. But at the same time, it was kind of like, okay, fine. Now we know why you've been doing this, and your motives are not shitty, so we'll keep playing along, basically. Much like All Out Avengers, it looks like Avengers Beyond is going to be, well, at least Avengers Beyond will be similar but different. It also helps that the Lost One, his herald Tiamat, attacked the Avengers last issue as well, but lots of so far our second issue starts in the middle of the action. Random people are getting superpowers, and the Avengers, not just the core team, but some of their additional allies are trying. At least people in New York, and they're trying to, subdue them without injuring them, or at least not, I would say at the very least, at least not injuring them too much. Like, Thor's not like Thor or She-Hulk isn't gonna just like punch some rando so hard that it shatters their spine, and you're like, oh. So they're, like I said, the Avengers are dealing with, even Spidey's kind of being a bit more stoic than normal. Blade's involved. The only two not involved are Black Panther and Iron Man, who are working on a device to enhance Earth's planetary shield. And Tiamat is just kind of sitting in a holding cell in Avengers Mountain, which clearly puts this, obviously, before the events of the recently wrapped up Avengers Assemble crossover. So a lot of the story does focus on the Wasp. She's fighting an old childhood friend of hers, Constance, and Constance is coming off kind of possessed, as though how an ally of a hero would generally be written in a story with possession that involved like possession of some type, some type of possession. So, but Constance saying hurtful things, presumably in an effort to throw Janet off her guard. Blade tracks down the person responsible for everything, and just trying to talk her down. At the same time that Jan is in Central Park dealing with her childhood friend, Mayor Cage is dealing with two of his constituents who are testing the limits of unbreakable skin. Blade tells the young woman responsible for what's going on, an alien named Selsanak. It's explained that she's a refugee from a part of the galaxy that Blade can't even pronounce. Fun way to say, yeah, we didn't want to come up with a name for the planet, so. Apparently, what Cell does is she has the ability to change a soldier's DNA just by standing within a certain radius of a battle. She would give people superpowers just by being there. And he explained, he's not he's not there to hurt her or anything. Just try and calm her down and maybe get her to pull back a bit so that to end all the craziness going on. But she lashes out at Blade, which makes things a little worse for the heroes in the street. but he is able to talk her down. Just in time for Iron Man and Black Panther to show up with a patch that will also nullify the effects of her abilities. This explains that the Beyonder could basically increase the radius of her powers, so that she didn't have to be like in the center of she just be in an apartment in Queens. I think it's Queens that the center she was in. But Jan and her friend talk about the things that Constance said. Constance saying, I didn't entirely, yeah, those were horrible things to say, and I, I didn't entirely not mean them, but also that for all the for all those things that kind of, but for every, but all that even still listen all the reason she loves and respects Jan, and so yeah. Tiamat then explains, while the Beyonder narrates, that the warlords of Thanos are coming, and that once they defeated the Avengers, well, the Lost Ones will show up, and the Lost One will kill the Beyonder, and that is where the issue ends. I'm liking both All Out Avengers and Avengers Beyond so far. All Out Avengers had a fun concept. I actually kind of like looking back. I did kind of enjoy just the issue. Just hey, you're in the middle of the action. What happened last issue? Who cares? You're in the middle of the action with a completely different line of Avengers, or at least somewhat different line of Avengers than last issue. So yeah. Moving on though to our next book, we've got Captain America: Symbol of Truth, number 12. Continuing the Cold War crossover. So, in Alaska, Captain America, as well as their closest allies, each of their closest allies, Sharon Carter, in the case of Steve Rogers, and Misty Knight, in the case of Sam Wilson, are dealing with the Outer Circle's tryouts for new members of the Tithe, when Bucky Barnes, now the Revolution of the Outer Circle, basically arranges the kidnapping of Ian Rogers, Nomad, Steve Rogers' son, and takes part of Ian's DNA and grafts it onto the White Wolf's DNA, making the White Wolf now the warlord of Dimension Z, and unleashes Dimension Z on the tryouts for the Tithe. So, our heroes have to deal with extra-dimensional monsters and militia fighters. And it's pointed out that, as Trent had been in this exact region recently, it's pointed out that there used to be like a town nearby, so it's probably a good idea to keep the everything away from the town. But turns out the townsfolk have evacuated into the into the nearby mines. And our heroes join them, and the whole thing is, try and get them. While they have blocked off the way that, the heroes have blocked off their entrance, it's explained that there are other ways in and out if need be. And during everything, Sam Wilson makes a point of mentioning to Steve that this feels kind of similar to when they were dealing with that bomb that rocket Zola launched back in Captain America #0. In Dimension Z, Bucky is trying to get Ian Rogers on his side. However, someone's going to speak to Bucky. informing him that he will tell her everything, and she'll be able to tell if he's holding back. And if he's holding back, she will open his throat. It is, after all, the Black Widow saying just that. That is where the issue ends. Um, uh, we're just 2 parts into the crossover. I can't remember exactly how long it's supposed to. Actually, it says tail end here. We got 4 more issues to go. But so far, off to I would say a strong start. I'm glad that I think I mentioned this talking about in going over Cold War Alpha. I was kind of worried it was going to be a Cap versus Sam type thing. Maybe like higher ups in the government going to Steve and saying, "Hey, the other Captain America he's kind of out of control. Maybe you should rein him in a bit." And Sam and Steve butting heads. I'm glad that at least for the moment that's not what's going on. So yeah. Moving on though to our next book, we've got Invincible Iron Man number 5, where we left off after a fight with Phe Long, which Stark won. Admitted the physical aspect of it. Phe Long still bought out Stark Unlimited. Iron Man went to speak with someone who also has experience with Phe Long. The X-Men, namely Emma Frost. Emma gets has Sunfire come down, and she has Sunfire share his encounter with Phe Long and what he learned from it, what he learned after about Phe Long with Tony, explaining that Phe Long has modified himself, basically giving himself powers similar but different to Cyclops via cosmic rays. And Tony's kind of worried. This is someone who's actually, thought things. This is just someone who wants to, smash shit up. This is someone who's playing a long game and is patient about said long game. As Tony leaves Krakoa, he tells Emma that she reminds him of someone. Apparently, she gets that a lot. Phe Long is learning everything he can about, basically going through all of the Stark Limited archives, and he's asked how things will be when it comes to what happens. What happens when there's a new owner for a company. But Phe Long says he has 3 lists: those who are fired, those who will be paid to leave with non-competes, and the few employees he wishes to retain. Adding that the lawyers should be informed who's non-compliant, and that they should handle it. In the archives, though, he's going over he's getting basically learning everything he can about the new company, including archived information about Howard Stark. Though it's explained that while the Stark archives have been working at archiving everything, there are still some things that they haven't been able to archive. They've been having trouble archiving because they're on microfiche. But there's a hangar in Texas which has a handful of 24 items that were part of Howard's inheritance to what Howard Stark left to Tony. Goes to an old hangar. There's a painting that Phe Long notices, and rips the painting open and discovers there's a bunch of film reels. Watches them and includes things about Tony or Howard talking about um, a mysterious metal. It's from outside. It's not on the periodic table because it's from outside the universe. I get the feeling he's referring to Mysterium. Apparently, Stark and Sony's never watched any of these. But Tony's been looking over comings and goings and goes to the hangar in Texas. And his worst fears are realized as he sees an almost completed Stark Sentinel. Phelan comes in with the smoldering remains of the film strips, and Tim and Tony have another fight. Bit more low tech though, just Phelan kicking and punching Tony. Tony gets into the armor and gets zapped out of the hangar by Phelan before the Stark Sentinel attacks. Tony realizes though that there's a lot of reasons why a Stark Sentinel is a very bad idea. Sure, Tony Stark, the Iron Man suit, could easily take on Sentinels, but a Stark Sentinel utilizing Iron Man tech in a frame that's not an armor, but say what, 20-foot tall robot. There's a lot more power behind that. And Tony retreats, telling Fei Long states that Tony should tell the world what's coming, and saying that we will see which of us the world will cheer. And that is where the issue ends. I had my initial criticisms with this run, early issues, but I gotta say, I'd say it's working out nicely. It's coming along nicely. I'm enjoying it. Getting into Iron Man books was kind of a whim that I thought, give it we'll see. Never been a huge Iron Man fan. I like him as an Avenger, but but so far, yeah, this current run has been. These last two runs, honestly, have been interesting. Moving on to our next book, we've got Thor number 33. Where we left off, Thor, after Odin's soul had apparently been removed from Mjolnir, Valkyrie and Thor went to Latveria, hoping to retrieve it. So we've got two stories going on. One in the past, Thanos and Vanaheim, having time traveled, apparently. As Bor is leading up to the creation of something important to Thanos. In the present, Doom is doing magic with the souls of the dead of the various Asgardian afterlives. He's also controlling his people, to basically putting them between Thor and himself. Thor does what he can to not harm the people and also save them. We find out that what Bor is making is known as the Black Stone. and that Thanos is seemingly there for it. Bohr has been well aware of his presence in 10 realms for the past 16 years. Thor manages to stop what the Magic's Doom is doing. With Hela telling him to end the spell, and that's all that matters. It's noted that magic sometimes feels clumsy to Thor, but this particular magic comes naturally. He pulls power from Doom's reservoir of souls and takes control, saving the people of Latveria, as Doom would have them walk off a cliff, and finds it hard to let go. He's tempted to just take full control, but and reshape their lives, but he's not sure if one can have love without hate, faith without doubt, and he also does not know the cost. Hela is freed and destroys Doom's reservoir. But Hela's not going after Doom. She must tend to the dead. Tend to the dead. She simply states that there are some things that are inevitable. In the past, at the creation of the Black Stone, Thanos arrives in his full armored regalia. And he sees the stone, but there's not a stone in it. There's a child. It infuriates Thanos to no end. And that is where the issue ends. My guess is that it's Lausa. Lausa is basically the living the Blackstone given form. Moving on, though, to our last one for the moment, we have Wasp, number 4. Where we left off, the creature from beyond the cosmos had imprisoned Janet Van Dyne as well as Nadia Van Dyne in a alternate, as well as Edwin Jarvis in a dimension where apparently the Avengers never existed. Hank Pym was never around, so Jarvis is meditating and using some of the techniques that he learned about looking to deal with trauma from Doc Samson, namely after the magical assault on Avengers Mansion. Meanwhile, Nadia has broken into Janet's apartment and has her at gunpoint. Though Janet insists she knows Nadia. And as they talk for a bit, Janet hugs Nadia, which manages to snap Nadia back to reality. Which also makes the reality that creature has crafted lose cohesion as Jarvis then finds them, and the three of them escape this false reality together. But they have to deal with the creature from beyond the cosmos, and they have an idea. Janet's got an idea, but she needs some help from Nadia, namely a source of cosmic radiation. And so Phantasma has knocked out Jarvis. Nadia then takes down Phantasma, taking her power supply, using it, and working with some other tech she's got to turn it into a gun, which Wasp uses to, potentially speaking, kill the creature from beyond the cosmos, releasing Nadia's grandfather from the creature's hold. And turns out that Janet has come up with a name for the superhero lounge she intends to open, the Jarvis Lounge. But she gets the issue ends with her. The series ends with her getting a call. Apparently, Whirlwind is dead in prison. And from the way the last page looks, it does appear he's been shot in the head. And as I said, that is where the series ends. I thought this was a fun series. I'm digging these. I really enjoyed the Ant-Man miniseries from last year, and yeah, I like this Wasp miniseries too. I also love these covers that were part of the format for these covers. Yeah, the Ant-Man miniseries has the same thing. Had the same thing going on. I dig the way it looks. So, anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.